Yo, what is good everyone? OJ here and welcome to another video. Today we've got some amazing stuff to talk about because we're going to be discussing if this was the greatest Nintendo Direct of all time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And looking at it objectively from a sheer content standpoint, I don't think I've ever seen another Direct that gave you as much content to play in 2018 and also as much content that was going to be coming in 2019. Now, a lot of people like to compare the last year's Direct, the September 13th, 2017 Direct, to this one because that one had announced Doom and Wolfenstein 2, LA Noire, Resident Evil Revelations, and a couple other different games as well, which was okay. But if you compare what they did last year, which people were saying was amazing, and you compare that to the Direct that they had this year, you look at that and just say, okay, well, there's like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 10-2, Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, the Final Fantasy World game, you have the Final Fantasy Chocobo game, you have the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles game. So right there, that's already so many more big third-party games, and yes, those ones were newer ones, but still third-party games that you can spend a lot of hours in. And on top of that, the symbolic nature of Final Fantasy returning back to a Nintendo home console, a mainline Final Fantasy, which I talked about before, how Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition is going to blow the door open for mainline Final Fantasy games. And a lot of you guys didn't listen to me in the comment section. You were very angry and thinking, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna come here and complain about Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. Well, here you go. You got all of the stuff that you're asking for, but if you watched the video, you would have known that, yeah, I kind of knew that Final Fantasy games were going to come over to Nintendo Switch, but to actually see it in motion, especially with Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, and Final Fantasy 9, I think those two are better than many games that come out in today's day. If you have not played Final Fantasy 9, I highly suggest playing Final Fantasy 9 when it comes out on the Nintendo Switch. Having all that portable is absolutely phenomenal. Those games carry so much content in there, so much stuff to do. They're really good, and coming over to Nintendo Switch is absolutely amazing. So to see all of those Final Fantasy games on top of all the other games that they're remastering and putting on the Nintendo Switch is just phenomenal, and to me just kind of beats out really anything that they had last year. Yeah, you had Doom, yeah, you have Wolfenstein, okay, Skyrim, I get that, but this was just the sheer amount of amazing Final Fantasy games that are coming over to Nintendo Switch, and the type of games that those are, the turn-based RPG style of game, or in Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age, kind of more of the action. It just fits the Nintendo Switch so well, more so than like Doom or LA Noire. I mean, those are great games for the Nintendo Switch, don't get me wrong, but these games really fit the Nintendo Switch and kind of how the system functions and what I envisioned for the Switch. So I think that the sheer amount of Final Fantasy games, the symbolic nature of Final Fantasy coming back, Zodiac Age is amazing. All of those are going to be coming out in 2019. We don't know the exact dates, but we do have 2019, probably just various times they're going to be releasing on the eShop. So that is really good to see. I also want to mention there was a lot of content for games that people can play this year and soon. For example, Torn of the Golden Country on the Nintendo Switch. You're going to be able to get your hands on that pretty much today for most of us. Then also The World Ends With You Final Remix. They showed off that. That's another great game. Starlink Battle for Atlas with Wolf and everything, those exclusive missions, that's going to be the home to get the game on there. So showing that stuff off was really good. The Civilization 6 announcement, I know that was already announced earlier, but still having it on the Nintendo Switch is great. The Cities Skylines as well, so a good version of the Sim City, because I know EA doesn't really make that anymore, and apparently it's running better than what people saw. Some people were kind of worried about the frame rate because of the trailer, but no, looks like it's good based on some of the gameplay that I have watched. So that's cool that that game's coming over. There was just a lot of announcements, even stuff like New Super Mario Bros. U for next year. You had Animal Crossing. That was a huge announcement for Animal Crossing. You had Isabelle in Super Smash Bros. You had a Super Smash Bros. Bundle that I already pre-ordered on Best Buy, which is coming out on November 2nd. So you can actually get that bundle early. It has a download code for the game, but it won't let you play it early. So you can't play it early, guys, but you do get the download code, and I guess you can like pre-install it or whatever, but then it'll go live on December 7th. So you had that as well. And then also the Luigi's Mansion, starting out big with Luigi's Mansion 3. Had a lot of you guys crying on my channel about Luigi's Mansion coming to Nintendo 3DS. A lot of people not listening to me when I said, hey, look, they're probably spending their resources on making a brand new Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo Switch. Just like, relax. They're just trying to put out a little bit of content on the 3DS, and bam, what do you know? Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch announced, really good. But I think a game that kind of stole the show a little bit for me, which was a complete surprise, was the new Town game from Game Freak. This is the Game Freak, right? The Pokemon company Game Freak. They are making a brand new game and it looks absolutely stunning. I love the art style of it. Kind of reminds me of the Ni no Kuni-ish, not quite exactly, but that similar type of style with it, with the clean, polished look of the visuals. Absolutely love what they are doing there with the game Town, and it all takes place, an RPG all in that one town. It's coming out 2019, and I want to make sure that I stress this over other Nintendo Directs. A lot of times when we got Nintendo Directs, outside of E3 2014, which had all of those big games there, but even if you look at it game for game, Nintendo had just as much as E3 2014 and even more. Nintendo actually gave release windows, release dates for these games, whether it was like Yoshi, they said spring 2019. We had the Daemon Cross Machina, that was still 2019. Luigi's Mansion 3, 2019. Animal Crossing 2019. Town, which is a working title, 2019. So I love the fact that they didn't just say, okay, here's the game, and then we don't ever know what year it's going to be, like a Spider-Man type of deal, right? For Sony, where 3 years of E3, and same thing for like Horizon Zero Dawn, multiple years. They say, hey, here's the game, we're working on this, and it's coming out next year. I like that more so than here's the game and who knows when it's going to be. And if we're comparing Nintendo Directs, that's the biggest problem with some of the Nintendo Directs in the past, especially with what people would consider like the next best Nintendo Direct ever. And that was the Nintendo Direct that they had in early 2013, where they showed off Xenoblade Chronicles X, they showed off Yoshi's Woolly World, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. However, all of those didn't have any titles, all of those didn't have any years, and all of those took way more years to actually come out than when they announced it. So it was a lot of just, okay, well, this is in development, but we don't know when it's coming. Whereas this one, they actually had dates attached to them, at least years, target dates, spring 2019, 2019. So I like that a lot more if you're going to show off games in the future. So to me, this Direct beats the early January 2013 Direct. It also beats the 2017, September 13, 2017 Direct as well, just because, once again, the Final Fantasy announcements, the Luigi's Mansion, the Isabelle and Smash, the Smash bundle, there was just hardware, there was new games, there was stuff that we're going to play right away, there was stuff that we're going to play in the future. There was just a nice mix of so many different things, and you just can't deny, once again, the historical fact of being able to play a mainline Final Fantasy on a Nintendo platform. This is the first time in so long, since Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo, that we've been able to play a mainline Final Fantasy, and the first time ever for so many of these games. Final Fantasy VII is an iconic game, and it returns home to where it was supposed to go in the first place, right? We all know the story, guys, with Final Fantasy VII and kind of what happened there. Square Enix was a bit butthurt on that. Nintendo was butthurt. I think both of them were butthurt about the whole situation, and that was their goal. Their goal was to make sure Nintendo loses and that Sony wins. So to see Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo platform is pretty much, I think, every single Nintendo fan's dream, at least it was back then. I know when I was looking at Final Fantasy, I was like, hey, you know what, it's on PlayStation, I'm gonna go play it there, but I always wanted to have it on N64 just so I could play the game. And of course I ended up playing it on PlayStation, but it's cool to actually have a portable version of Final Fantasy VII. They didn't do anything for like the 3DS, they didn't do anything for DS or anything like that, even though they could have, but they didn't. So it's great to see the Final Fantasy games come over. Now there was some other announcements for the Nintendo 3DS and other things here and there, and I'll talk about some of the other announcements, guys, but overall I think that this Direct definitely was probably the best one that we've gotten, just because of the amount of big announcements for next year and the amount of announcements for this year as well. This is the most content hours wise that I will probably spend in all of the games. Like, if you look at a lot of the Directs in the past, you don't really know how much hours you're going to spend. There's not a lot of games that you know, like, okay, I'm going to put a ton of time, or I'm even going to buy this. But with this Direct, this was the first Direct that I literally said, I'm going to get so many of these games. Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, all of those are getting copped. I already have 10 and I'm not trying to play 10 on the Switch, so whatever on that one. But all of those are getting copped. All of those are going to be played for multiple hours, like a lot of hours. On top of that, you have stuff like The World Ends With You going to be played for multiple hours. Xenoblade Chronicles going to be played for multiple hours. Like, it just seems like game after game is something I'm going to be really interested in. Now, I'm not the biggest Animal Crossing fan. I'm not the biggest Luigi's Mansion fan either, but I'm going to be copping those and playing those as well. Like the Daemon Cross Machina, there was just so many games that I know I'm going to be picking up and putting a lot of time into. The Town RPG from Game Freak, that is a game that I know I'm going to be spending a lot of time. I'll probably 100% that game. I'll do everything that there is in that one. So there was just a lot of content that I know that I'm going to put a lot of time into. And I think that it really just kind of blows away a lot of the other directs outside of E3 2014. That Nintendo showcase that they did, that was really good because that showed off Zelda and other things. But I can't think of another direct that was better than that, just because of the announcements that we did get. It was quite spectacular. It was really cool to see everything there, and I'm pretty satisfied. I'm really satisfied with all the games. You had a mix of RPGs, you had some Western games in there. Obviously, there wasn't like any first-person shooters and stuff like that, but we still have the rest of the year. There could be some more announcements for certain things, but that's not necessarily my favorite genre anyway. I do like the Diablo 3, so we did get that as well, so I'm looking forward to playing that in November. Also, Warframe is also on November 20th, so that is one of those type of games, you know, Western game. It's been around for a while, but it's evolved so much since it first launched back in 2013, so that's going to be coming to Nintendo Switch, going to be free to play as well, so looking forward to that. So there are some good Western games in November, and that nice November time slot. Civilization 6 is coming out then as well, so to me, this was the best Nintendo Direct that Nintendo's ever done. Normal Direct, not counting E3 stuff, easily the best Direct. There's just way too much content to say that it wasn't good. Way too many big announcements, big franchises, big games. Tons of games that we're going to be playing this year soon, and games that we're going to be playing in 2019. I can't sit here and complain too much outside of the Nintendo Online not being very good with the whole phone app for voice chat and everything. That's not the greatest thing in the world, but I'm buying it just so I can play my games online like Smash Brothers. That's what I need it for. That's what it's there for. That's what I'm buying it for. But yeah, they need to make sure that they upgrade that and get that better over, because having voice chat through the cell phone app and all that is no bueno. That's definitely not good, but hopefully they do get some upgrades and they make sure that they continue to evolve the service. You have the controllers as well, so there's that, and I think they're going to add it in Super Nintendo because we did get that data mine, and then they did announce those controllers, so it looks like there's going to be Super Nintendo controllers that you can attach as well. So overall, to me, great Direct. I think it was the best one of all time, in my opinion. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube live gaming pages and consider supporting PlayerEssence. When you do so, it gets you access to cool. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.